Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our end-of-day market review for October 27, 2011. This is Jason Waugh here. I'm one of the trainers and success coaches here at Diligence Works, and I'll be walking you through today's presentation. Now, we do have a few things that we're going to be covering, but we can expect that this presentation will be completed within 15 minutes. So the few things that we're going to be covering here, we'll start off with the daily news. First and foremost, we just want to see what's been going on in the markets to cause them to do what they're doing. Today we had a very interesting day in the markets, and we'll see if we can start to figure out why. We've got our market outlook, which will include analysis on the S&P 500, where we're going to be looking for and identifying support levels and resistance levels, as well as the current location of the MACD. We'll be looking at our volatility indicator. With this indicator, we'll be able to identify whether or not the markets are considered volatile or consistent, a little bit easier to trade in. We'll look at the current watch list, see if there's anything that tickles our fancy there. There was nothing that jumped out to us yesterday. Quite a few picks there that just barely were looking into profits, but it's because the good day that we had was really the first day after a bit of a yo-yo roller coaster ride. So it would make sense that we didn't have very many quality picks. But finally, we will be putting all of the pieces together, everything that we've learned up to this point, and making a informed trading decision as to whether or not we're going to be actively trading tomorrow or sitting on the sidelines. Just a quick update that I would also like to point out, that we are pretty much finished transferring over our MWA website over to the Ideal Trading Lifestyle website. We have moved over our charting, we've moved over our resources, our current events. Really all this stuff now is just to finally flick that switch for the watch list, and this is going to be happening over the weekend. So by November 1st, you should be able to also gather your watch list from this one location here, which is just going to make it that much easier for all of us. So with that said, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to keep on chugging along and start off with the daily news. First things first, if you look at the opening news, you'll know that there was a strong boost prior to market open. Futures were up, news was positive, and this was really because there's a comfort in what's been going on with Europe, which was a good follow-through since yesterday. As the day progressed, you'll see that we had a very good trading day where the S&P 500, for example, advanced more than 4%. This is now pushing the S&P 500 back into positive territory for the year. The growth was, again, due to the confirmed optimism that's been going on in Greece. Definitely some more stability going on there. Definitely enough to push the markets into some pretty extravagant returns today. So we're going to go ahead and look at that right now. Actually, let me just go ahead and get my S&P chart up. So you can see here, just by looking at this one-year chart, we were up against resistance a couple of days ago. We pulled back from that resistance point, and it looks like we were going to be finding some steam to attempt to hit that resistance point again. Now, what ended up happening today was just a complete breakthrough and a growth almost right through to closing. Now, there's a slight pullback near the end of the day, but that pullback was just so insignificant compared to the amount of growth that the S&P was able to accumulate. It is now up against a overhead resistance point, which we can clearly see at around 1290. However, there's really only that for resistance. After that, there is definitely a cycle high or two that we would need to face, but those are probably not going to be as significant along the way back up, simply due to the fact that we're really starting to see some stellar growth. But absolutely, we can't expect that it's just going to be clear blue skies all the way up to 1400. There's going to be some down days, There might even be a couple of down sessions where you have 2 or 3 trading days negative. Maybe we'll have a complete pullback to and around 1250 along the way. But all in all, we can see that there really has been a very good October. And if it keeps on track, we'll be very excited to see the amount of growth from October alone. MACD obviously is rising bullish again, which is the best position that we can have this MACD in. It looks to me like that black line tested its support at its blue reference line and is now working its way back up. So all in all, certainly a lot of optimism right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the volatility indicator because we know that that's been dancing just up and below 30 for the last little bit. And there you go. Look at this. It gapped right down. Now, this is really the first significant day where there was growth, or sorry, decrease in that volatility indicator. It's great to see it down here. It means that we can probably afford now to have 2 or 3 bad days, maybe even 4 or 5 bad days, without it pushing that indicator back up above 30. So that speaks volumes for the overall confidence of the traders in the markets. But we are still going to respect the fact that we've just pulled ourselves out of a very volatile state, and we're probably going to be just a little bit more cautious than the rest, just in case. Because, again, we are being very much so influenced by some contributing factors that we really can't predict the outcome. Obviously, earnings season right now is one of those. The other one is what's going on with Europe. But we can start to look into trading more aggressively now for sure. We can start to have a little bit more faith or belief in the markets. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some stocks on the current watch list. There isn't really a lot of stocks that showed up on our watch list today. Let me just go to our watch list. Really, just a small handful of stocks, and that's fine. Part of the reason for this could have just been the incredible growth spike that some of the stocks would have had. We have a very intelligent watch list that will safeguard itself from anything that's just not quite normal. But there are a few stocks that showed up. There's a few that actually had red candles, and again, I just wanted to bring that to our attention due to the fact that we really should be paying attention to that. It's very easy for us to become lazy or complacent and forget the simple analysis. So that would be one thing. But right here, we're looking at a stock, CMVT, and it's rising bullish, which in technicality would mean that we can look for a cycle high at the highest high of that cycle, and that is this red line right here. Now, the reason why we're illustrating this is because, yes, there is resistance there, and yes, it can very well stop there. Is there 2%? Looks like there might be. But I also want to bring out the fact that because we're just leaving a bearish market, and because we are really just starting to chug into a more bullish stance, we should still be a little bit more cautious with our profit taking. And as a result, I've also drawn a cycle high over the candle right here. And you'll notice that that puts it right up against resistance. The aggressive trader, they might say, you know what, I'm comfortable with this. Whoever's really in tune with the markets, they might, again, also say, you know what, depending on how things go tomorrow morning, this might be a worthwhile trade. But what I can see is that it has been resistance there on the 21st, and it really hasn't broken that point despite 4 days of possibilities. So with that said, this is going to be one of those probably stay away from kind of trades. But some things that are definitely going in its favor are the fact that we can see a significant level of support right here. And this is important because this stock might show up on our watch list a couple of days later after it's just found some support at this line. That certainly makes it a trade that would look worthwhile. For our advanced customers, this might be a stock that you're going to start looking at to trade a few days from now. Pull out all the other indicators, see if it's going to make sense 2 or 3 days from now. Just might be, if it has that pullback, which I think is entirely possible. We actually just lost our one pick from the basic watch list, but there really hasn't been a lot, and that's fine. What we're going to do now is we're just going to evaluate the markets. We're going to now see what they're going to be doing. We're very excited at the fact that it had some good, strong growth, but we're not completely out of the woods yet. So let's just go ahead and kind of piece together everything that we've gone over to this point. All right. So the market conditions are looking much more aggressive. They're much more bullish. They are really starting to show that the bulls are dominating the tug of war between the bulls and bear. They are up against resistance right now, but this is really the last significant point of resistance prior to it trading back into its pre-November, pre-October days, September days, back when the markets were a little bit more bullish, a little bit more consistent, a little bit more predictable. That's really the ideal trading state right there. There are no statutory holidays tomorrow, so we're free and clear with that. As far as any reports and whatnot go, we're going to really be making sure that we're looking at our earnings reports for any stock that shows up on the watch list, no matter how good their technicals might look. And we're also going to be looking early morning to see if there's any economic reports that are going to be released. If so, we're probably going to want to stay away from those. The volatility indicator is well below 30. It's around 25 points, which is a good encouragement to see, especially since this volatility indicator really hasn't gone down below 30 in over a month. Had a couple little blurps, but just little hints that things are going to get better. And then finally, pre-market news, looking at the futures, etc. Those are all going to be important bits of information that we need to gather prior to making our final trading decision tomorrow. So with that said, very optimistic here, feeling a lot more comfortable in the markets. Even if we do have that pullback, and even if we have a dip that might last a week or two, all in all, I'm feeling more comfortable because the growth seems to outweigh the little pullbacks that we have. And if it can continue to keep its steam up, we can be in for a very interesting and very lucrative trading opportunity. So with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for attending the end of day market review. We will have this uploaded in the next couple of hours for reviewing if you like. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you guys later.